Rosy Chu, and welcome to Bay Area. Well, in our society, women are not only allowed to cry, but expected to do so. But men are not. And for those of us who've had good cries, it does feel good to release all of those feelings, those tensions, the stress, anger, sadness. So there are benefits to crying, and are men missing out on those benefits? Well, maybe so, and my next guests have created an organization that addresses the need for men to cry. I'd like to welcome Glickstein. He is the founder of a group called Men of Tears, and Clint Willett, he is a trainer with Men of Tears. And first of all, Glee, you are co-founder of this organization. It came out of something that you already had been doing, right?
Yeah, I founded Speaking Circles International, where facilitators help people get through their stage fright and their performance anxiety by creating a safe environment for people to be themselves, to be vulnerable. People tend to cry sometimes then, and it's lovely, it's natural, it's beautiful watching people cry, but they invariably apologize for it and stop. And more recently, I'm watching people cry, and I'm thinking, I want what they have, because I haven't cried.
So you were not a big crier yourself?
No, like an occasional drop or two in a darkened movie theater, and I gulp and hold back the lump in my throat like my life depended on it.
Right.
So I started running tear circles, which were like speaking circles, only with the agenda of having a safe place to cry. And working with men and women, found that men, as I studied how unhealthy it is not to cry, so many men are telling me they haven't cried since they were 8 or 10 years old.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
Why is it unhealthy not to cry?
Well, it becomes like a pressure cooker of stress. And, you know, tears release chemicals that stress builds up. We have evolved to irrigate from within, to cry out the stress. It's physical, and it's also psychological. And men get violent when they don't. I have a friend, Scott, who says that unshed tears harden into bullets. Violence, gender violence, war, it could be laid to men who are not shedding the tears.
Well, male or female, we all know that when we have had a big, hard cry, that at the end, you're just spent.
Yeah.
You're emotionally spent, but then you kind of feel good and almost rejuvenated a little bit. And that's what a lot of men are missing. Is that right? And I'm going to ask you that, Clint.
Yeah, certainly. I want to touch back to when I left the Air Force in 1990. There was a big experience. Most of my tears were either in sports, after the end of a great victory, or say watching a great movie, or cutting onions. That would be the only way to get me to, as far as to tear, and it would as far as something to shut down.
Because you were a man, and men don't cry, right?
Yeah, certainly. It was usually shut down. And then I became an educator, and I watched, usually around first, second, third grade, the tears would stop. Or we would work with the youth and mentoring and things like that, where it wasn't, you're a man, you're not supposed to cry. And you're talking to first or second graders, training them to be the way that this society expects them to be.
So let me ask you, as a trainer and as someone who has worked with many people over the past in confidence building and creating this organization, the reaction from some of these men that you're talking to when they say, you want me to do what?
Well, the ones who find us are the ones who are open to it. There's an article in the Chronicle, and the comments on it were vicious, like about 300 comments, and about 250 were absolutely livid about the idea that men are supposed to cry. So that is the common response. Luckily, these people don't get to the groups. But yeah, most men are saying it's a big threat to them.
So since the organization has been running, or Men of Tears has been running, you both have cried. I mean, good cries?
Definitely, and it's people of tears, and it's not the goal is to have a great cry.
Okay.
I can say a 5-minute share. I don't want to tap into what the part of the process is called relational presence. So one person is speaking, and they're able to be heard and seen and witnessed, and there's no process or as far as to go into that place. And relational presence is whether you're speaking to one person or 10 people or 100 people. It's like a way, there's a method that was designed to be able to people feel that they could actually not cry or cry and be able to express their message.
You're not saying anything or doing anything specifically to cry.
No.
Right.
But if it comes, you want it to come.
It's tear-friendly, but the idea is to go to the place. We say the place where tears would arise if they did. So we feel the shared place. What happens is we talk about our relationship with tears. You know, having an intimate relationship with tears is probably the most intimate relationship a person can have. And if you can't have an intimate relationship with tears, you probably don't have an intimate relationship with another human being. So as we go to that place and we notice our relationship with tears, we may not cry in the circle, but when we leave, we start to be conscious of the moments that life hands us day by day, where, oh, I see, here's a place I would cry if I let myself. So you're developing your consciousness so that when the time comes, you can allow yourself to cry.
So you're really saying you're giving permission to yourself to be able to cry if and when needed.
Exactly.
Not just behind closed doors.
Yes, we believe that sharing is a community, that tears want to be shared in community.
So let me ask you this. With the people who belong to or have joined the group, have they told you about stories where they gave themselves permission to cry, or maybe a cry or, a tear or two would come out, whether it's a movie theater or in a circle of friends when they talk about something that's intimate or sad or whatever the situation
I want to tell you a story about that, because we talk about tracking your tears, start to track your tears. And Pete, the co-founder, found himself a week ago weeping when he read that Mubarak of Egypt didn't want to live anymore. As much as Pete was so excited about the revolution, he found a place in it. And he was embarrassed at first because he's crying for this dictator. And he's embarrassed, but he realized that there's a place in him that he feels that he wanted this man, he wants this man to live to be an example or to learn or to teach something he must have gone through. There's
kind of a human element in there.
There's a human, he found it, and he wept about that. So that's an example, because he didn't stop because of the touchiness of what he was crying for. That's typical of some of the stories we're hearing.
Connected with the Egyptian revolution, there was something where the Google executive was captured in the media shedding tears, and that was one of the things, the power of one person's tears in their true emotion of what they're passionate about was freedom, and in that moment the revolution continued. So that was one aspect that we see this in the media now. There's another gentleman who was sharing as far as tears of joy at his daughter's wedding, and he, some people, that's an acceptable place, and but he found it a natural and safe place to be able to, or at a funeral or places like that, and so not to be able to keep it, but also a lot of tears of just happiness, of just like, just.
I think generally when people see a man become emotional over, a birth or a death or, a exciting moment in life when the daughter's getting married, it's acceptable, and people, oh, how wonderful, and they clap or they they hug each other, and that's okay. But it's the other kinds of events like you were talking about that you don't necessarily have permission, and you're giving them permission. Unfortunately, we run out of time, gentlemen, but thank you for sharing the information. We will let people know how to contact you. If you want to find out more about Men of Tears, go ahead and write down the information that will be on the screen in just a second. But still ahead, we go on location today to the biggest rummage sale in Northern California. Stay tuned. We will be right back.